Chapter 51. After a while, the members of Qin Xian's sect finally found the right path and arrived at their pre-arranged accommodation. It was a standalone courtyard located in the southeast corner of Qianlong Pavilion. There were numerous rockeries and lakes. The air was fresh, making it a very suitable place to live. Each of you can pick a room for yourself. Murongyu waved her hand. I'll go out for a stroll. Choose freely. Shinemo immediately glanced at the fortunes of Xiao Fan and Lu Yunxian. Sure enough, a new opportunity appeared on Xiao Fan's life panel. Recent opportunity. Today, after entering the southeast area of Dragon Pavilion, choosing room No. 4, Xiao Fan unintentionally activated the Sun Marrow flower seeds underground while practicing at night. The Sun Marrow flower bloomed overnight, and consuming its dew enhanced his physique. Shinmo's heart stirred. He had heard of the Sun Marrow flower. It was a low-grade, Earth-level treasure. Its effect was to enhance one's physique. If it was a profound-level physique, there was a high chance it could directly upgrade to Earth-level. An Earth-level physique, if lucky, could also be raised by a small realm. I don't know if it works on heaven-level physiques, but no matter what, it will definitely be beneficial after consumption. Accumulating enough Earth-level treasures should also enhance a heaven-level physique. Shinemo nodded slightly, then without waiting for the others to choose a room, he walked straight towards room No. 4. Xiao Fan frowned. He had wanted to pick that room, but Shinemo walked ahead of him. There wasn't much he could say about it. After all the rooms were the same. Moreover, these rooms were specifically for them, the outsiders, to live in. It was unlikely that there would be any treasures hidden inside. Xiao Fan had to give up and chose room No. 6. Shinemo walked into room No. 4 and carefully examined it. All the rooms were the same, decorated with low-key luxury. Each room had an independent soundproof array. This alone was enough to show the wealth of the Divine Sword sect. A soundproof array, after all, was a top-grade yellow-level item. Each soundproof array required a set of array flags and consumed 3 low-grade spirit stones daily. In this courtyard, there were over 100 identical rooms. Cumulatively, this amounted to a vast number. As the head of the 5 major sects of Xianjiang, they are indeed wealthy. This alone leaves Qin Xian's sect far behind. Shinemo marveled in his heart. He didn't feel like going out, so he simply closed the door and started cultivating. Night soon fell. 3 servants brought meals, delivering them to each person's room. Before long, night deepened. Shinemo immediately began serious cultivation. Following the breathing technique of the Flame-Held Destruction Manual, he rhythmically breathed in shallow and deep cycles. Divine Sword City was a treasure land, said to have a massive spirit-gathering array beneath it, absorbing all the surrounding spiritual energy. The spiritual energy here was dense and vibrant, at least 2 or 3 times richer than that of Qin Xian's sect. Cultivating here, Shinemo achieved twice the result with half the effort and quickly entered a state of cultivation. Meanwhile, a stone slab on the ground began to loosen. It seemed as if something was trying to emerge from beneath the stone slab. Before long, the stone slab made a slight sound, silently cracking into dozens of pieces. A golden plant slowly grew, stretching its stems and leaves. Its appearance was very mystical, with a straight stem and 2 leaves resembling small suns. In an instant, Shinmo's room was filled with light. However, since other rooms were also lit, this anomaly did not attract attention. Noticing the change, Shinemo opened his eyes and glanced at the ground. At the top of this golden plant, a small flower bud was forming. Inside the bud was the Sun Marrow flower dew. That was the true Earth-level treasure. It was not yet time for the flower to bloom. At this moment, Shinemo felt a stirring in his heart and suddenly looked towards the window. There was a small snake there. The snake was entirely snow-white, flawless and pure as if carved from white jade. Only its eyes were blood-red, resembling small rubies. The little snake was staring intently at Shinemo, its scarlet tongue flicking in and out, seemingly very interested in him. A spiritual beast? This wasn't mentioned in the opportunity. Shinemo could sense its intelligence and extraordinary nature. Little one, come here. He beckoned. The little snake tilted its small head, curiously observing Shinemo. It was very perceptive but cautiously did not approach directly. It first moved from the windowsill to the floor, glanced at the Sun Marrow flower and ignored it, then circled around Shinmo's bed a few times before finally coming to his side. The snake gently nudged his hand, as if urging him for something. Shinemo was puzzled. Want to eat something? He took out a few pills and some spirit stones from his storage ring. but the snake only sniffed at them and showed no interest. It suddenly opened its mouth and sprayed a high-temperature fire element spiritual energy. Shinemo realized. He possessed a top-grade heaven physique, the fiery sun scorching body, which naturally attracted a lot of fire element spiritual energy. Moreover, he was currently cultivating the heaven-level technique, Flame Hell Destruction Manual, which attracted even more and purer fire element spiritual energy. This little creature was attracted by the fire element spiritual energy. All right, I'll give it to you. Shinemo immediately began cultivating the Flame Hell Destruction Manual. Strands of fire element spiritual energy began to flow in from all directions. The little snake comfortably nestled in Shinmo's arms. Its entire body seemed to relax as its scales glimmered in contentment. About 30% of the surrounding fire element spiritual energy was absorbed by the little snake. Shinemo just smiled and didn't drive it away. The little creature was quite cute, and Shinemo couldn't bear to chase it off. However, given its intelligence, it was certainly raised by someone who raised it, a disciple of some sect, or an elder or the head of some sect. Since the little snake was well-behaved and did not disturb his cultivation, Shinemo continued his practice peacefully. However, it wasn't long before footsteps could be heard approaching. Shinemo looked up towards the window. He saw a young woman with a graceful and exquisite figure. Her long, jet-black hair was casually draped over her shoulders. Her smooth, fair skin was like white jade. She wore very thin clothing, exposing her fair arms and flat abdomen. Her full bosom was barely covered by a piece of black gauze, drawing all attention. Her features were enchanting and seductive. Anyone who saw such a sight outside the window would find it hard to stay calm. Moreover, Shinemo was only 18 years old, but Shinemo sensed danger from her, a very real and palpable danger. If Morongyu was an ice-cold beauty, this person was a snake-like beauty. Anyone ensnared by her beauty would pay with their life. Shunmo's heart tightened, and he immediately checked her life panel name. Mo Yuheng Realm. Peak Foundation Establishment. Fate. Sect Disciple. Fortunate Timing. Master of Medicine and Poison. Inheritor of Strange Arts. Myriad Beast. Spirit Body Destiny. Will cultivate to the early nascent soul stage. 61 years later. While seeking a breakthrough, will encounter a beast tide and perish under the attack of tens of thousands of frenzied beasts. Recent opportunities. None. Shinemo looked again. Sect Disciple. Blue Fate. You are a disciple of Qingting Sect, one of the 5 major sects of Xinjiang, and have been taught by the sect master since childhood, making your cultivation speed superior to others. Master of Medicine and Poison. Red Fate. You cultivate medical and poison arts faster than ordinary people. Inheritor of Strange Arts. Blue Fate. You excel in using unconventional weapons such as whips and darts. Myriad Beast. Spirit Body. Orange Fate. A lower heaven-grade physique. You can communicate with beasts without barriers and are more likely to gain their favor. Shinemo pondered. Mo Yuheng was the one Zhao Ting had mentioned, one of the supremes of Xinjiang, known as the Beastly Supreme. Shinemo had assumed Mo Yuheng was a man. He had not expected her to be such a stunning yet dangerous young woman. Chapter 52. Mo Yuheng glanced at Shinemo and blinked. Are you at the peak of the foundation establishment stage? She asked with a smile, her voice as melodious as a clear spring. Shinemo did not respond. Mo Yuheng did not get angry. Instead, she whistled softly, the sound light and airy. Upon hearing the whistle, the small snake in Shunmo's arms suddenly woke up. The snake glanced at Mo Yuheng, seemingly reluctant. Mo Yuheng gave a faint smile and waved her slender finger. Only then did the snake reluctantly leave Shunmo's embrace, moving like a white lightning bolt, and in the blink of an eye, it was back on Mo Yuheng's shoulder. Mo Yuheng gently tapped the snake's head, as if reprimanding it. One person and one snake walked into the night. At that moment, Lu Yunxian, unable to sleep, stepped out of his house to gaze at the moon in the courtyard. Unexpectedly, he saw a fiery and tall figure leaving from the side of Shunmo's window. The long, snow-white beautiful legs were faintly visible under the nearly transparent black skirt, shimmering slightly in the moonlight. Extraordinarily alluring, Lu Yunxuan's eyes were glued to the sight, and he instinctively wanted to call out to the woman. Mo Yuhing stopped at the doorway, turned her head to glance at him, and curled her lips into a captivating smile. Then, she swayed her soft waist and disappeared into the night. Even just her back view was extremely enchanting. Lu Yunxian gazed at that back view for a long time. He recognized this woman, the enchantress Mo Yuhing. Her reputation for beauty was widespread. Many young elites desired to be at her feet. Mo Yuhing seemed to enjoy this superior position, occasionally flirting with her many admirers, but never choosing anyone. Why was Mo Yuhing at Shen Mo's window? Is she interested in Shen Mo? Impossible. Or perhaps the faction led by the head of the Verdant Vine sect is extending an olive branch to Shen Mo? But that doesn't make sense. Not many people know about Shen Mo's heaven-grade physique. Lu Yunxian took a few deep breaths, shaking off the enchanting thoughts from his mind, and began to ponder. However, after thinking hard for a long time, he still couldn't understand why Mo Yuhing appeared outside Shen Mo's window inside Shen Mo's room. The sudden appearance of such a captivating woman like Mo Yuhing surprised him. However, it was just a minor interlude. Shen Mo quickly returned to his cultivation state. The sun marrow flower on the ground grew even more vigorously as a result. About 3 hours later, the bud of the sun marrow flower finally opened. A rich fragrance filled the entire room. Shen Mo stood up and approached the sun marrow flower. He took out a jade bottle and carefully collected all the dew from the flower. The sun marrow flower seemed to lose all its vitality and began to wither and wilt within a few breaths. Finally, it returned to the ground. The sun marrow flower needs to absorb a lot of spiritual energy to bloom. It will take at least 50 years for it to bloom again. Shen Mo sighed. Opportunities in the world are like this. For the past 49 years, many people had lived in this room, but none of them witnessed the blooming of the sun marrow flower. Only today did Shen Mo encounter it. Shen Mo returned to his bed, poured the flower dew into his mouth, and drank it all in one gulp. His stomach immediately felt warm. It emitted a gentle medicinal power, nourishing his body. By dawn, Shen Mo had fully absorbed the medicinal power. His cultivation level had slightly improved. However, being already at the peak of the foundation establishment stage, there was not much room for further improvement. He also felt that his physique had improved. His sensitivity to fire spiritual energy between heaven and earth was stronger. His speed in cultivating fire attribute techniques and martial skills, as well as his comprehension speed, should also improve slightly, but not significantly. I have previously taken the Tai Soul Nourishing Pill, which greatly enhanced my physique. I estimate that I need to consume 6 more doses of sun marrow due to enhance my scorching sun flame body to the supreme celestial grade. The road ahead is long and arduous. Shen Mo did not feel discouraged. After all, he managed to snatch this opportunity. In the future, there will be more chances. 2 more days passed. The sects from various parts of Xinjiang Prefecture finally gathered. This time, the number of sects was different from the 100-sect ceremony 6 years ago. Last time, there were 52 sects, but this time, there were only 49. Several sects, due to a lack of resources, had chosen to merge. This led to a reduction in the number of sects. That night, the leaders of all the sects began their meeting in the Sword Tower of Divine Sword City. This was the most important part of the 100-sect ceremony. The leaders of the 49 sects would discuss the overall interests of Xinjiang Prefecture, as well as the interests of their respective sects, especially with the recent events in Lingyun Prefecture. This discussion became particularly crucial. To fight or to surrender. A decision had to be made at the same time. The list of disciples participating in the ceremony from the 49 sects was also announced. The list was arranged according to the disciples' cultivation levels. At the top were the 5 young supreme, below them were the peak foundation establishment disciples from various sects. Divine Sword Sect had the most, with 2. Then came Rising Sun Sect, also with 2. Thunderfire Sect, Verdant Vine Sect, and Heavenly Water Sect. Each had 1 further down. There was an unfamiliar name, Qingxian Sect. Shen Mo, his cultivation level was also at the peak of the foundation establishment stage. Qingxian Sect, which sect is this, that they can produce a peak foundation establishment disciple? I have a bit of an impression 30 years ago. Qingxian sect was one of the top 5 sects in Xinjiang later. Most of their core formation stage cultivators died, and Qingxian sect was pushed out by Heavenly Water sect. Oh, now that you mention it, I remember too. Qingxian sect indeed has some heritage. After all, a starved camel is still bigger than a horse. It seems this Shin-Mo is the strongest of the new generation of Qingxian sect, however. It will be difficult for him to compare with the geniuses of the top 5 sects in Xinjiang. While the disciples were discussing, they also began to meet frequently. They hoped to understand each other's backgrounds through these interactions, at least to prepare more. Another day passed. The discussion among the sect leaders finally concluded, however. The result was not pleasant. Many people saw numerous core formation stage cultivators flying out of the sword tower with displeased expressions. In the southeastern district of Hidden Dragon Pavilion, Shin-Mo, Zhao Ting, and Luo Shengnan were sitting in the courtyard, chatting casually. The topic was the information about the elite disciples of various sects. Luo Shengnan's family was in the medicinal herb business and often traveled around Xinjiang Prefecture, so they could gather some intelligence. The information on the elite disciples of various sects was provided by Luo Shengnan. At this moment, a streak of light suddenly appeared and landed in the courtyard. Shin-Mo and the others immediately stood up and saluted. Greetings, sect master. Shin-Mo glanced at Morongyu secretly. He noticed that Morongyu's aura was somewhat unstable, as if she had been angry. Shin-Mo, come to my room. You all continue your discussion. Morongyu waved her hand. Yes. Shin-Mo followed Morongyu to her room. Morongyu sat down and brewed a pot of cold tea for both of them. Then, she drank it in big gulps. She looked completely different from her usual serene and cold demeanor. Master, was the meeting unpleasant? Feel free to tell me, Shin-Mo said after taking a sip. Morongyu sighed deeply, finally finding someone to confide in, and said immediately, it was more than unpleasant. The top 5 sects of Xinjiang plan to resist the government. I agree with this, but they actually want all the other sects to join under the top 5 sects banner. The top 5 sects of Xinjiang are led by Divine Sword sect, which is also the strongest. This proposal was clearly made by Divine Sword sect. Chapter 53. Shin-Mo frowned. Joining under their banner. Does that mean merging? It's not merging. It's assimilation. Morongyu sighed. Merging implies equality, while assimilation means inequality. If our Qingxian sect is assimilated into the Divine Sword sect, you would only be ordinary disciples of the Divine Sword sect and wouldn't receive the same treatment as true Divine Sword sect disciples. Furthermore, as outsiders, we would surely be resented by the elders and disciples of the Divine Sword sect. Shin-Mo pondered over this. Morongyu continued. Out of the 44 sect masters apart from the 5 top sects of Xinjiang, 20 were against this. The meeting ended on a sour note. Shin-Mo nodded. He understood Morongyu, including his own life panel, showed that their ultimate fate hadn't changed. The Qingxian sect would be leveled by the Divine Sword sect. Many elders and disciples would die. Morongyu would fall in the Qingsong Mountains. Shin-Mo would be no exception. Morongyu sighed. I shouldn't have told you this. It might disrupt your emotions and affect your performance in the 100 sect ceremony. I shouldn't have said it. It was my mistake. Shin-Mo shook his head. Disrupting his emotions wasn't really possible. After all, he had long seen their ultimate fate through his life panel. Master, you don't need to blame yourself. I share both honor and disgrace with the Qingxian sect. It's better to know sooner. Shin-Mo comforted her. He realized that his beautiful master, who appeared to be as unyielding as an iceberg, was actually as fragile as an ordinary girl inside. Good. Morongyu looked at him deeply, feeling very gratified. Go back to your cultivation. The disciples' martial competition in the 100 sect ceremony will be in 2 days. The 5 top sects of Xinjiang will present many rewards, which will benefit you and our sect. Understood, master. Shin-Mo cupped his hands and left. Morongyu watched his departing figure. Her previous unhappiness completely dissipated. She had indeed accepted a good disciple. 2 days later, the 100 sect ceremony was held as scheduled. The location was the central martial arena of Divine Sword City. This arena was much larger than that of the Qingxian sect, about 4 times the size around the arena, for grandstands were built. The grandstands rose from low to high, accommodating up to 40,000 spectators. Dong, dong, dong. The sound of bells rang out as the 49 sects entered the arena. Each sect brought 10 elite disciples. Those sects that couldn't gather 10 elite disciples didn't even qualify to participate. The grandstands were bustling with excitement. Look, that tall and handsome guy in the gold-trimmed robe from the Qingxian sect is Shen Mo. He does look very dashing, and his demeanor is indeed extraordinary. Zhou Qingsong, look. He's the top disciple of the Divine Sword sect. Look over there at the Verdant Vine sect. Mo Yuheng is here too. Look at that figure, that grace. I'd give 20 years of my life to have her as my wife. Hey, does anyone know the rules of the competition? A young nobleman anxiously asked. Will I get to see the goddess Mo compete? Don't you know? Let me explain. A young man holding a folding fan smiled smugly. Master Lu, please tell us. The surrounding young nobles and noble ladies urged him. They were just there for entertainment and didn't know the detailed rules. Master Lu smiled confidently and waved his fan. The 100 sects ceremony consists of 3 rounds. The first round is a grand melee involving all 490 participants from 49 sects. They all fight until only 100 remain. The surrounding crowd immediately erupted in chatter. Damn! The first round will eliminate nearly 4/5 of the participants. Of course, the winners of the 100 sects ceremony must be the elite of the elite. Master Lu, annoyed, interjected, are you listening or not? Don't interrupt. Sorry, please continue, Master Lu, the interrupters said with embarrassed smiles. Master Lu cleared his throat and continued. The second round, which will be tomorrow, involves 100 participants fighting in pairs to determine the top 50. These 50 will then fight in pairs again to decide the top 25. Then comes the third round, starting the day after tomorrow. These 25 will continue to fight in pairs, but there will be buys. Only when the top 10 have been decided will the 100 sects ceremony be considered complete, and the prizes will be awarded to the top 10 and their respective sections. The surrounding people suddenly understood. The 100 sects ceremony happens every 10 years, and those who come here are all geniuses. They each have unique insights and skills in martial arts. Watch closely and learn well. It will greatly benefit us. Master Lu said with an air of authority. The atmosphere in the stands was incredibly lively. People couldn't wait, their gazes frequently darting to the disciples of the various sects, wondering when the event would start. In the resting area for the sect disciples, the atmosphere was also heating up. They looked at each other with high fighting spirits and sharp gazes, silently evaluating whether they could defeat their opponents in the Qingxian sect group. Lu Yunxian spoke gravely this year. The teams from the various sects are very strong. Be prepared and don't hold back. Luo Sheng'an glanced at him and said, that's not for you to say. If anyone should be giving orders, it should be our strongest, Shen Mo. Lu Yunchuan's face darkened with anger. He had forgotten he was no longer the strongest among the 4 true disciples. Shen Mo was. When he spoke just now, he had unintentionally placed himself in the position of the strongest. Shen Mo nodded slightly. The first round's grand melee is unpredictable. Lu Yunxian is right. We must stay united and give it our all. Especially be wary of the Heavenly Water sect joining forces with other sects to target us. Zhaoting nodded slightly and pointed to a few sects. Those sects have close ties with the Heavenly Water sect and could be considered their affiliates. We need to be cautious. Shen Mo's gaze swept over the various sects. Suddenly, a stunning figure caught his eye. With a fiery figure, beautiful face, fair skin, and a revealing outfit, she was extremely eye-catching. More than half of the crowd's attention was focused on her. However, they seemed somewhat wary and didn't dare stare for too long, only glancing occasionally. It was the enchantress Mo Yuheng. She was playing with a white jade snake in her arms. Sensing Shen Mo's gaze, Mo Yuheng looked in his direction. Her purple eyes were enchanting and seductive, as if gazing into them for too long would lead to complete infatuation. The disciples of the Verdant Vine sect followed her gaze to look at Shen Mo. Lu Yuanfeng noticed this and immediately frowned, whispering, don't stare. Provoking the Verdant Vine sect now will give us another enemy in the melee. Lu Yunqian also chimed in, Shen Mo, look away. Shen Mo withdrew his gaze. Is she the enchantress Mo Yuheng? Zhaoting nodded. Yes, she's also the daughter of the Verdant Vine sect's leader and is skilled in using poisons. She reportedly has a heaven-grade physique, allowing her to communicate freely with beasts. Shen Mo nodded and continued to observe the other sects. Although he stopped looking, Mo Yuheng continued to watch him from afar. As a result, the disciples of the Verdant Vine sect also kept their eyes on him, expressionless and cold. Their sudden attention drew the eyes of other sects and even the spectators in the stands towards the Qingxian sect. What's going on? Did the Qingxian sect provoke the Verdant Vine sect? Chapter 54. From the Heavenly Water sect, Sect Master Zhang Mo let out a sinister laugh upon seeing this situation. Interesting, Qingxian sect has really toughened up. Xuega, Ziyue, and the rest of you, listen up. When the melee begins, make sure to take down Qingxian sect first. Behind her, apart from the Vice Sect Master, were the 10 disciples of the Heavenly Water sect. Leading them was Yin Xuega, an eerily handsome man who had reached the peak of the Foundation establishment stage. Behind him was another peak Foundation establishment disciple by Ziyue. Of course, even within the peak Foundation establishment stage, there was a significant difference in strength between someone who had been at that level for 5 or 6 years and someone who had just reached it. Understood? Yin Xuega, by Ziyue, and the others all nodded in agreement. The other sects, observing the scene, were equally delighted. It seemed the Verdant Vine sect had set their sights on Qingxian's sect. Additionally, the Heavenly Water sect had a long-standing enmity with Qingxian sect. With 2 of the top 5 sects targeting Qingxian sect, it meant Qingxian sect would be attracting the attention of both Verdant Vine and Heavenly Water sects, easing the pressure on the other sects. Even Murongyu and Lu Yuanfeng found this strange. Their sect had no significant grudges with the Verdant Vine sect. Even back when Qingxian sect was among the top 5 sects, their relationship with Verdant Vine sect was distant and rarely interacted. Why was Verdant Vine sect suddenly focusing on them? At that moment, the white jade snake in Mo Yuheng's arms suddenly disappeared. It darted through the crowd like a white lightning bolt, arriving at Qingxian's sect's group and coiling around Shen Mo's leg, climbing up to his knee. The snake's red tongue flicked out. Seemingly enjoying Shen Mo's presence, Shen Mo extended his finger to gently tap the little creature's head. However, the white jade snake nudged his hand, indicating it wanted some fire spiritual energy. Shen Mo couldn't help but smile wryly. This wasn't the place to cultivate. Senior sister, what's going on? The disciples of Verdant Vine sect were puzzled. Mo Yuheng had been raising that white jade snake for years and it wouldn't let anyone else touch it. How come it was now willingly going to Shen Mo and even seemed affectionate? The other sects were also surprised. Normally, tamed beasts only cared about their masters and ignored everyone else. Moreover, Mo Yuheng's physique, known to be a heaven-grade inferior myriad beast spiritual physique, was publicly acknowledged by Verdant Vine sect. This physique naturally attracted various beasts, making them willingly submit. Mo Yuheng whistled to call the snake back. However, the snake ignored her, remaining in Shen Mo's embrace, continuously urging him for fire spiritual energy. The fact that the tamed beast didn't return when called drew even more attention from the spectators. Yuheng, do you know that Qingxian sect boy? A burly man in green clothes with a beard in Verdant Vine sect's team asked, lowering his voice. Mo Yuheng shook her head. We've only met once. The bearded man scratched his head. That's strange. This blazing heaven snake barely acknowledges me, yet it went to a stranger. Mo Yuheng whispered, let's leave it with him for now, father. Let the Divine Sword Sect Master announce the start. We don't want any trouble. The bearded man nodded. Lord Luo, please announce. Divine Sword Sect Master Luo Chaotian nodded slightly, said a few courteous words, and then announced loudly, the first round of the 100th Sect ceremony is about to begin. All teams take the stage. His voice, infused with spiritual power, resonated throughout the arena. The atmosphere instantly heated up. Thousands of eyes locked onto the martial arena. Finally, it was starting. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. One by one, figures either agile, graceful, or imposing descended onto the arena. Shen Mo tried to put the snake down before entering the arena, but the little creature clung to his hand, leaving him helpless. If you get hurt during the fight, I can't compensate, Shen Mo said softly. The snake shook its head as if saying it didn't need any compensation from him. Shen Mo had no choice but to bring it along into the arena. The 10 disciples of Qingxian's sect followed him onto the stage. Before they set off, Murongyu whispered, "Everyone, follow Shinmo's orders." "Understood." Zhao Ting, Luo Xingnan, and Zhao Rou nodded without hesitation. Following the strongest was only natural. Lu Yunxian and Xiao Fan, though outwardly agreeing, harbored their own thoughts. "The first round begins now." Luo Chaotian shouted. This voice ignited the already tense atmosphere. The martial arena now hosted 49 teams, totaling 490 people. Once the melee begins, it won't stop. 4/5 of the participants will be eliminated. Only the remaining 100 will qualify for the second round. Someone shouted first. Immediately, everyone plunged into a chaotic battle. Clang, 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 bang, bang, bang. There were clashes of swords and blades as well as fists and kicks. The sounds of metal clashing and the dull thuds of fists hitting flesh filled the air. The disciples of Qin Xian's sect were also affected by the atmosphere, itching to charge into the fray immediately. Lu Yunxian quickly suggested, "I recommend we retreat immediately and withdraw to a corner." Xiao Fan nodded. "I agree with senior brother Lu." Zhao Ting and Luo Shengnan seemed thoughtful. This was a tactic: preserve strength, wait for the numbers to dwindle, then seize the opportunity. Many weaker sects would choose this strategy. Though it might not look impressive, it would at least keep them in the game longer. But Shin Mo smiled faintly. "We can't retreat. We need to fight, and fight hard. Strike first, strike hard. If we're ruthless enough, no one will dare to provoke us." Lu Yunxian frowned. "Are you crazy? Doing this might mean we won't even pass the first round." Xiao Fan also questioned. "Shin Mo, you're risking Qin Xian's sect's reputation." "I don't agree." Shin Mo responded coolly. "Did you not hear what the sect master said before we came? Are you all deaf and blind?" Xiao Fan's face flushed with anger, ready to argue. Lu Yunxian sneered, pulling him back. "Fine, we'll follow your lead. Just hope you don't regret it." The 10 disciples of Qi Xian's sect, led by Shin Mo, moved like a sharp blade, piercing straight into the crowd. Shin Mo's target was not some small sect. From the start, his target was Heavenly Water Sect. As one of the top 5 sects in Xianjiang, Heavenly Water Sect was strong enough. If they could severely damage the Heavenly Water Sect team while preserving their own strength, other teams would naturally avoid provoking them. Everyone knew that if they had the power to seriously harm Heavenly Water Sect, they could easily defeat the weaker sect teams and drive them out of the arena. In Shuega and Bai Ziyua's eyes narrowed. They were just about to move towards Qin Xian's sect. They didn't expect Qin Xian's sect, under Shinmo's lead, to come straight at them. "Ridiculous? Do they think they can use us to make a statement?" In Shuega's pale, sickly face showed a hint of a cold smile. He was smart and quickly saw through Shinmo's intentions, but he thought Shin Mo was foolish. A mere second-rate sect. No matter if Shin Mo had reached the peak of the foundation establishment stage, how could he match up to In Shuega, the so-called Prince of Shadows? The other disciples of Qin Xian's sect were even less of a match for the disciples of Heavenly Water Sect. "Meet them head-on," In Shuega commanded with a wave of his hand. "Yes." The 9 disciples behind him also wore cold smiles on their faces. Chapter 55. The battle erupted instantly. Although Zhao Ting, Luo Xingnan, Lu Yunxian, and the others were top talents in Qin Xian's sect with strong abilities, they were still somewhat inferior when facing the disciples of Heavenly Water Sect. In terms of cultivation, weapons, techniques, and martial skills, they were slightly lacking in all aspects. Adding up all these gaps made a significant difference, so right from the start, they were at a disadvantage. Shinmo's opponent was In Shuega. As soon as they met, In Shuega extended a hand. "5 moves, and I'll have you down." Shin Mo sneered. "If I don't fight you, how are you going to take me down in 5 moves? Your boasting isn't very convincing." In Shuega's face stiffened. Shin Mo had a point. If he refused to fight, how could In Shuega show off? "What I say is more reliable. I'll take you down in 3 moves." Shin Mo smiled. In the next moment, he decisively drew his sword. The Thunder Sword was unsheathed. He executed the Thunder Shadow Sword technique. Thunder Shadow Sword light interwove in the air, fast and fierce. It aimed directly at In Shuega's throat. In Shuega did not expect such a fierce move from Shin Mo right at the start. Even before the sword struck, he felt goosebumps on his throat. His heart skipped a beat. He had underestimated Shin Mo. "You use a sword. I use a sword too. You're no match for me." In Shuega took a deep breath and swiftly drew his sword. His sword was peculiar. It had 2 colors. Blue like water on the left and red like blood on the right. Two completely different forces flowed through it. Shinemo showed no fear, moving even closer to Inshuiga. Clang. Their sword tips collided suddenly, a piercing metallic sound echoed. Clang, clang, clang. Shinemo took 2 steps back. Inshuiga retreated 5 steps. His face darkened immediately. He felt a numbing sensation in his hand. He could barely hold his weapon. Shinmo's strength was far beyond his expectations. In their first clash, he was slightly at a disadvantage. This angered Inshuiga. With his strength, he should have suppressed Shinemo with ease. He was one of the 5 young supremes of Shenjiang. Come again! Inshuiga shouted angrily, swinging his sword once more. Shinemo smiled from the previous strike. He had gauged his opponent's strength weak, and significantly weaker physique and techniques were the biggest factors in the gap. As for martial skills, they were just ways to display power. With a strong enough physique and powerful techniques, one could easily overpower many others. I miscalculated earlier. I won't need 3 moves. 2 will be enough to take you down. Shinemo stomped the ground, executing the 8 directions thunder movement. His speed soared to the extreme. In an instant, he seemed like a shadow of thunder, disappearing from Inshuiga's sight. Inshuiga lost his target. His expression froze, but he instinctively swung his sword behind him. It's good you have this instinct, but you're still too slow. Shunmo's calm voice came from behind him. The next moment, the thunder sword pierced directly into his back. Even though he instinctively blocked, deflecting the attack, part of the force still surged into his body. The violent power exploded. Inshuiga's body flew 7 or 8 meters away, crashing into several disciples from other sects. He tried to get up, but found blood flowing beneath him. His strength quickly drained away. Humiliated and furious, his rage surged, causing him to spit out more blood. Damn impressive. Shinemo, your strength has really skyrocketed. Luo Shengnan exclaimed in surprise. Bai Ziyue was shocked by the sight and quickly shouted, "Protect him!" Inshuiga, as one of the 5 young supremes and the strongest of the new generation in Heavenly Water Sect, was their symbol of pride. If Inshuiga were to be eliminated in the first round of the melee, what face would Heavenly Water Sect have left? Therefore, while others might be expendable, Inshuiga absolutely could not be harmed. In an instant, the tide of battle shifted. Zhao Rou, who had been struggling under pressure, suddenly found her opponent withdrawing to protect Inshuiga. Zhao Ting immediately shielded his sister. Chase them! Now's our chance to counterattack. Shinemo shouted. Zhao Ting, Luo Shenen, and Zhao Rou echoed loudly, yes. Bai Ziyue and the others gritted their teeth. Retreat! Preserve our strength. They fought while retreating, trying to escape Qingxian Sect's attack range. Inshuiga had been severely injured by Shinemo in just 2 moves and couldn't recover his combat strength quickly. Seeing Shinemo still in peak condition, they realized they were no match for him. Their only option now was to retreat. Shinemo sneered. Retreat? To where? Chase them. Knock every single Heavenly Water Sect disciple out of the arena. He was the first to charge forward. His thunder sword aimed straight at Bai Ziyue's chest. Zhao Ting, Luo Shengnan, and Zhao Rou's eyes lit up, and they immediately followed. Xiao Fan frowned, glancing at Lu Yunxian. Lu Yunxian sighed. Let's follow them. Under Shinmo's leadership, the Qingxian Sect team moved like a deadly blade, relentlessly pursuing Heavenly Water Sect. Disciples from other sects stepped aside to avoid getting caught in the crossfire. This scene, witnessed by the audience in the stands, left them in shock. Wow! Qingxian Sect is actually chasing down Heavenly Water Sect. Who is that leader from Qingxian Sect? He's amazing. He took down Inshuiga in 2 moves. I didn't expect Qingxian Sect to be the dark horse of the 100 Sect ceremony. Heavenly Water Sect's Sect Master, Zhang Mo, frowned deeply. What kind of strength does that boy have to severely injure Shuiga in just 2 moves? The Vice Sect Master next to him was equally astonished. He's probably the heaven-grade physique that Qingxian Sect has been hiding for a long time, Zhang Mo said in a serious tone. The Vice Sect Master was shocked. What? No wonder. Let's watch closely. The situation is very unfavorable for us. I hope Ziyue can hold on. Anyone can be eliminated, but not Shuiga. Zhang Emo took a few deep breaths, feeling a bit anxious. If Yin Shuega were eliminated in the first round, she would be too embarrassed to remain seated here. In contrast to Heavenly Water Sect's gloom, Murongyu was overjoyed. She realized she had underestimated her precious disciple's strength. Well done. Excellent. Murongyu couldn't help but exclaim. Beside her, Lu Yuanfeng frowned deeply. Shinmo's growth rate was terrifying. To have reached such strength already? He truly deserved his heaven-grade superior physique. The sect masters and vice-sect masters of Divine Sword Sect, Rising Sun Sect, Thunderfire Sect, and Verdant Vines Sect watched the scene from a distance, their faces showing various expressions. Some were amused, some were amazed, and some were admiring. On the martial arena, the teams from Divine Sword Sect, Rising Sun Sect, Thunderfire Sect, and Verdant Vines Sect stood with folded arms watching the spectacle because of their overwhelming strength. No other sect teams dared to provoke them. The 100 sect ceremony was always like this. The top 5 sects of Xianjiang could simply watch during the first round melee and easily make it to the second round. Only this year, Heavenly Water Sect encountered a little setback within the Rising Sun Sect team. It's been a while, but Yin Shuega's strength has weakened, Hong Qilong said, wiping his huge sword without even looking up. That kid only knows some underhanded tricks. When it comes to real strength, he's not even worthy to carry our senior brother's shoes, a Rising Sun Sect disciple next to him boasted with a proud smile. Chapter 56. What do you all think of that, Shinemo? Hong Qilong asked again. Just average, not to mention comparing him to our senior brother, he's still far behind our second brother, the disciples replied, even more boastful. Wrong, Hong Qilong said flatly. The disciples of the Rising Sun Sect were stunned. How could they be wrong? Hong Qilong said calmly. When he fought Yin Shuega just now, he wasn't even using his full strength. You still think he's not strong? Foolish. The disciples' faces turned red with embarrassment, but they dared not refute and could only nod in agreement. Senior brother, should I go test his strength? A disciple stood up. He was also at the peak of the foundation establishment stage, second only to Hong Qilong among the young disciples of the Rising Sun Sect. No rush, let's wait a bit. Hong Qilong smiled. I want to see him wipe out Heavenly Water Sect first. Really? But senior brother, look, some sects are already gathering over there. They are all allies of Heavenly Water Sect. The disciple pointed at the crowd. Hong Qilong chuckled. A bunch of rabble. Similar conversations were happening within Divine Sword Sect and Thunderfire Sect as well. Qin Xian's sect chasing Heavenly Water Sect was entertainment to them. If Yin Shuega was in good condition, he would definitely come looking for trouble with the other 4 major sects. He might even knock 1 or 2 of their disciples out of the arena. Now, with Heavenly Water Sect being overwhelmed, the other sects could preserve their strength in this melee. All 4 sects, a total of 40 disciples, might easily pass the first round in the Verdant Vine Sect team. Senior sister, aren't we going to intervene? Didn't you dislike that guy? A disciple asked. Mo Yuhing rolled her eyes. I don't dislike him. I'm just curious about him. Besides, my little snake is still with him. The disciples of Verdant Vine Sect scratched their heads. So, we're just going to watch? Yes, just watch, don't interfere. Mo Yuhing waved her hand. Her beautiful eyes looked distantly at Shin Mo, who was pursuing Heavenly Water Sect. She thought to herself, he can attract my little snake and make it disobey me. What kind of physique does he have? Could it be even superior to mine? On the other side, Shin Mo led Qingxian's sect in a fierce pursuit of Heavenly Water Sect. 3 Heavenly Water Sect disciples had already been hit in the back by Shin Mo and knocked out of the arena. Bai Ziyue was carrying Yin Shuega. Running ahead, glancing back from time to time with a cold gleam in his eyes. At this moment, Zhao Ting shouted, a sect is approaching from the left. It's the Baihe sect. Luo Shangnan called out, the Shuahe sect is coming from the right. Lu Yunxian and Xiao Fan scanned the rear. Lingxi sect is coming up from behind. The Heavenly Water Sect team also stopped. Bai Ziyue sneered. Chase us? Why don't you? Now you're surrounded by 4 teams, and Qingxian sect will be buried here. Shin Mo smiled faintly. A bunch of nobodies, and you call this a siege? During the pursuit, Shin Mo had been alert to his surroundings. He had already assessed the teams from Baihe sect, Shuahe sect, and Lingxi sect. The strongest among them was only at the perfect foundation establishment stage. The rest were at varying levels within the foundation establishment stage. As long as he took out the leading disciples of these three sects, the others could be handled by Zhao Ting, Luo Shengnan, and the rest. Arrogant, what can you do? Bai Zus sneered. The next moment, his vision blurred as Shinemo charged like a storm. Bang, bang, bang. The perfect foundation establishment disciple of Baihe's sect hadn't even reacted when his chest was hit with immense force in the next instant. He flew out like a kite with a broken string, spewing blood midair, and landed in a heap nearby. Disciples from other sects, already deep in the melee, rushed in and beat him further. The disciples of Baihe's sect widened their eyes and quickly rushed to rescue him. Though they were subordinate to Heavenly Water sect, they couldn't bear the consequences if their strongest disciple got seriously injured, so it was imperative to rescue their own immediately. After defeating one person, Shinemo charged towards the leading disciple of Shuahe's sect. That disciple was still in shock from seeing the Baihe sect disciple being sent flying. By the time he reacted, Shunmo's fist was less than half a foot away from him. In a rush, he could only cross his arms to block. Bang. The reality proved that, in the face of overwhelming strength, no amount of blocking would work. He too was sent flying far away. Just like the previous person, Shinmo deliberately aimed him towards the densest part of the crowd. If the disciples of Shuahe's sect didn't rescue him, he would definitely be severely injured, possibly even at risk of losing his life. After sending these two flying, Shinmo moved on to the third person, describing the process takes time. But in reality, Shinmo used his supreme-level martial skill, 8 directions thunder movement. At an extremely fast speed, each strike was quick and powerful enough to end the fight instantly. By the time he reached the leading disciple of Lingxi sect, that person had just realized what was happening. However, with Heavenly Water sect's order, he couldn't dodge or flee. After much consideration, he made a decision: stand firm. Lingxi sect was known for its defensive martial skills, and it wasn't difficult for a perfect foundation establishment stage disciple to withstand the attacks of a peak foundation establishment stage opponent. He roared, and a giant rhino phantom appeared around him. His body was as solid as a rock, as resilient as a mountain enduring the elements. The next moment, Shinmo's fist struck down. Bang. The disciple's defense shattered in less than 3 breaths. He followed the same fate as the previous two, flying far away. Lingxi sect's defensive martial skill did help. He only flew 4 or 5 zhang away. Go save him. Why are you standing there? Shinemo said calmly. The disciples of Lingxi sect gritted their teeth but could only rush to rescue their comrade. With these 3 swift punches, Shinemo had quickly broken the encirclement of Qingxian's sect. Now, their opponents were only the Heavenly Water sect's team. Bai Zu's expression shifted from a sneer to shock and finally to extreme discomfort. Retreat. Bai Zu shouted angrily. Retreat? Stop trying to make it sound noble. Shinemo smiled faintly, stomped the ground, and pursued them. Inshuega, who had just regained consciousness, heard this and was so enraged that he spat out blood and fainted again. This scene, witnessed by the spectators, left countless people in awe. Wow. That's incredible, defeating 3 perfect foundation establishment stage disciples with 3 punches. From being surrounded to turning the tide, that's amazing. Only such a significant gap in strength can break through like this. Any other sect would have already been defeated in such a situation. Amazing. Qingxian's sect is truly the darkest of dark horses this time. They're shining. Bang. Zhang Emo slapped the table, her face dark with anger, almost dripping with malice. The surrounding audience fell silent, fearing to anger the Heavenly Water sect's leader. In contrast to Zhang Mo's dark mood, Murongyu was smiling brightly, her joy sweeter than honey, drawing many admiring glances. I knew I didn't misjudge him, she thought with immense satisfaction. Chapter 57. Qingxian's sect chased, while Heavenly Water sect ran. This scene of cat and mouse was seen not only by every spectator in the stands but also by the disciples on the martial arena whenever Shinemo and his team charged through the crowd in pursuit. Disciples from smaller sects would tactfully make way. No matter how fiercely they were fighting, they dared not block the path of Shinemo leading Qingxian's sect, especially after witnessing the power of those 3 punches, both skillful and strategic. No one wanted to offend such a formidable Qingxian sect. To many disciples, the Qingxian sect team now seemed capable of matching the teams of the top 5 sects in Xianjiang. In the Rising Sun sect team, Hong Qilong polished his giant blade until it gleamed brilliantly. Hearing his disciples' surprised discussions about Shenmo's three-punch victory, he finally looked up. He watched the two teams, one chasing and the other fleeing, and suddenly smiled. Interesting, Qin Xian's sect has produced a talent. I think Yin Shuega's title as Young Supreme should be revoked and given to Shenmo. The disciples of Rising Sun's sect burst into laughter. It was true that Yin Shuega was one of the 5 Young Supremes of Xianjiang, but he had fought against the other 4 and never won. His best result was a draw against Thunderfire sect's Lei Junzi Wan Renjia. However, Wan Renjia and Yin Shuega were known to be good friends, and some said Wan Renjia deliberately held back, resulting in the draw. Thus, Yin Shuega was privately nicknamed the Weak Supreme in the Thunderfire sect team. 9. Disciples surrounded Wan Renjia, their gazes also fixed on Shenmo. Wan Renjia, tall and lean, was seething with anger. Seeing Yin Shuega in such a pitiful state, he felt a shared indignation as if those injuries were inflicted on him. Move. Stop them. Wan Renjia growled. In the Verdant Vine sect team, Mo Yuheng's gaze at Shenmo grew increasingly curious and amused. The disciples of Verdant Vine sect noticed Thunderfire sect's movements. Senior sister, it looks like Thunderfire sect is about to make a move. How dull, Mo Yuheng chuckled. Watching the show is much more fun. Why intervene? Senior sister, you mean? The Verdant Vine sect disciples were eager to act. Block them, don't let them interfere, Mo Yuheng said with a light laugh. Yes. The disciples of Verdant Vine sect quickly moved and, in the blink of an eye, stood in front of Thunderfire sect, blocking their path. Wan Renjia's eyebrows furrowed deeply. Mo Yuheng, what are you doing? Mo Yuheng covered her mouth and laughed. We like the scenery here, can't we stay? Wan Renjia took a few deep breaths, suppressing his anger. Fine. This place is yours, we'll take a different route. He gestured for the Thunderfire sect disciples to follow him around the Verdant Vine sect team, but Mo Yuheng stepped forward again, blocking his path. Wan Renjia's veins bulged. What exactly do you want? Mo Yuheng smiled teasingly. What do you think? Wan Renjia shouted. Move. Or I'll make you. Mo Yuheng laughed heartily. Go ahead and try, let's see if you can beat me. Wan Renjia gritted his teeth. He knew he wasn't a match for Mo Yuheng. Among the 5 Young Supremes of Xianjiang, Mo Yuheng's strength was second only to Young Sword Supreme Shou Qingsong. I might not be able to beat you. But can you protect all the other disciples of Verdant Vine sect? Do you want only Mo Yuheng to enter the second round? Wan Renjia sneered. Mo Yuheng retorted, oh? And can you protect all the Thunderfire sect disciples from my attacks? Have you forgotten Verdant Vine sect's specialty? She reached out and lightly flicked her hair. Wan Renjia's eyebrows shot up and he instinctively stepped back. Mo Yuheng laughed. Relax, I haven't used poison yet. Wan Renjia's expression shifted between anger and frustration. Verdant Vine sect's specialty was poison. Poison powder, poison water, poison smoke. If truly deployed, Wan Renjia could at best protect himself, while the others would be on their own. They would hope they carried enough antidotes. Mo Yuheng's earlier gesture was her typical move when using poison. Wan Renjia had suffered from it before, almost forming a reflexive muscle memory. Unexpectedly, Mo Yuheng was bluffing this time. Both sides were at a standstill. Senior brother, what should we do? A disciple of Thunderfire sect asked quietly. Wan Renjia thought it over several times before finally saying, retreat, Yin Shuega. Let him fend for himself. Understood. The Thunderfire sect team had no choice but to retreat. This scene left those around them quite astonished. The enchantress, Mo Yuheng, had always been proud and viewed men as insignificant. Why was she helping Shenmo this time? Mo Yuheng, uninterested in Wan Renjia, continued watching the chase between Qin Xian's sect and Heavenly Water sect. As the two sects remained in a stalemate, Shenmo's team managed to knock several more Heavenly Water sect disciples out of the arena. Now, only Yin Shuega and Bai Ziyue remained from Heavenly Water sect. Bai Ziyue, carrying Yin Shuega, weaved through the crowd, finding it increasingly difficult to continue. The only thing he could do now was run. The number of participants in the martial arena was also rapidly decreasing. The count dropped from 490 to 200 in just the time it took for an incense stick to burn. These 200 then entered a long period of stalemate. Everyone knew that enduring just a little longer might mean advancing to the second round. The battle was reaching a fever pitch. Even so, no one dared to challenge the teams from Divine Sword sect, Rising Sun sect, Verdant Vine sect, and Thunderfire sect. From start to finish, These four teams remained quite relaxed. Had it not been for maintaining their image, they might have even sat down to play cards. The scene of Shen Emo leading Qin Xian's sect in the pursuit of In Shuega and Bai Ziyue became increasingly prominent and eye-catching. Nearly 70% of the audience's attention was on Shen Emo. Everyone wanted to see if Shen Emo could ultimately knock In Shuega out of the arena. If that happened, it would be even more interesting. The distance closed bit by bit. Bai Ziyue felt a prickling sensation on his back. He instinctively dodged. However, Shen Emo was faster. Thinking of dodging now? Too late. Shen Mo's calm voice rang out. The next moment, his massive fist struck Bai Ziyue's back. Bai Ziyue felt his internal organs churning, and a metallic taste filled his mouth. With all his strength, he threw In Shuega away. His own body was then propelled out of the arena by the force of Shen Mo's punch. He had no chance to counterattack. The prolonged evasion and running had already drained his spiritual energy. Now, he couldn't withstand even a single punch. In Shuega spat out several mouthfuls of blood and slowly stood up. Shen Emo, Zhao Ting, Luo Shenan, and others quickly surrounded him. Yet, In Shuega showed no fear. Instead, he glared coldly at Shen Emo. Do you really want to make a move on me and completely break with one of the top 5 sects, Heavenly Water Sect? In Shuega threatened, if I get knocked out, my master will be furious and will use all her connections to turn every sect against Qin Xian's sect in the subsequent battles. Upon hearing this, Zhao Ting, Lu Yunxian, and Xiao Fan's expressions changed slightly. In Shuega was right. If he was eliminated in the first round, Heavenly Water Sect would lose face and Zhang Emo would likely incite other sects to target Qin Xian's sect. Although they might pass the first round, the second and third rounds would become extremely difficult. Xiao Fan immediately said, Shen Emo, I suggest we let him go. There's no need to completely sever ties. Lu Yunxian nodded. Regardless, we are all sects of Xianzhang Prefecture. It's better not to escalate things. If we give them face now, we might need Heavenly Water Sect's help in the future. Luo Xingnan glared angrily, cursing bullshit. You two cowards. Chapter 58. Xiao Fan's face turned bright red. Lu Yunchuan's expression, on the other hand, remained unchanged. Shen Emo said calmly, address me as senior brother. Xiao Fan was taken aback. Shen Emo turned to him with a cold gaze. Xiao Fan, don't you understand respect and hierarchy? Xiao Fan lowered his head, gritting his teeth. Yes, senior brother Shen. Shen Emo continued, do you think that letting In Shuega go now will make Heavenly Water Sect spare us in the second or third round? Absolutely not. You all saw clearly what kind of person the Heavenly Water Sect leader is when you met her for the first time. Shen Emo looked directly into Lu Yunchuan's eyes. As for showing Heavenly Water Sect some respect, thinking we might need them in the future, that's absolute nonsense. Back when Qin Xian's sect was pushed out of the top 5 by Heavenly Water Sect, did they show us any respect? Did they not seize the opportunity to crush us further? Why didn't they consider that they might need Qi Xian's sect in the future? Lu Yunchuan's composure finally broke. He knew Shen Emo was absolutely right, and there was no way to argue against it. Zhao Ting, Luo Xingnan, Xiao Rou, and the other disciples of Qi Xian's sect cheered for Shen Emo from the bottom of their hearts. His reasoning was meticulous and foresight. One couldn't help but admire him. After saying this, Shen Emo turned his gaze towards In Shuega. Hearing Shen Mo's words, In Shuega's expression turned panicked. He realized that the disciples of Qin Xian's sect were not intimidated by his threats. Instead, Shen Mo's words had unified them even more against their common enemy. You need to think carefully. You're too selfish. How can you not consider the other disciples of Qi Xian's sect? In Shuega instinctively stepped back, spitting out a few weak threats. Shen Mo's face remained as calm as ever. The other 4 young supremes seemed quite formidable, so why are you so lacking? Shen Emo shook his head and suddenly struck out with his palm. Bang. In Shuega was instantly sent flying. He was launched out of the martial arena. Upon landing, he was so enraged that he spat out blood and fainted on the spot. The moment In Shuega was sent flying, a collective gasp arose from the stands. When In Shuega had been surrounded by the Qin Xian sect team, he had already captured the attention of nearly 90% of the audience. Everyone wanted to know whether the disciples of Qi Xian's sect dared to knock In Shuega out of the arena. After all, he was one of the 5 young supremes of Xianzhang and the face of the younger generation of Heavenly Water Sect. In past first rounds, there had been conflicts among the 5 young supremes, but they had always tacitly avoided eliminating each other. Would the Qin Xian sect disciples break this unspoken rule? Or would they be so intimidated by Inshuega that they would let him leave, even in his severely injured state? Now they knew Shinemo dared. He truly dared. Good. 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 Heavenly Water Sect leader Zhang Mo stood up abruptly, her face extremely calm as she uttered 3 consecutive goods, her voice echoing throughout the martial arena. She then turned and left with a flick of her sleeve. Her demeanor and tone clearly indicated that her inner fury had reached its peak. Haha, this Shinemo is truly an interesting person. Mo Yuheng covered her mouth, laughing softly, her smile growing even brighter. Damn it. In the second round, if we encounter Qin Xian's sect disciples, show no mercy, use your full strength, understood? Wan Renjie growled. Yes, the disciples of Thunderfire sect responded in low voices. In the Rising Sun sect team, Hong Qilong laughed heartily. Well done. Inshuega, that guy, doesn't deserve to be one of the 5 young supremes. Within the Divine Sword sect team, Zhou Qingsong, who had been silently polishing his long sword, finally stood up and cast his gaze toward Shen Mo. Senior brother, what do you think of him? A Divine Sword sect disciple asked. Zhou Qingsong pondered for a moment. Very strong, very smart. The Divine Sword sect disciples were astonished. Zhou Qingsong had never given anyone such high praise before, not even to Hong Qilong, Mo Yuheng, or Wan Renjie. Inshuega's elimination marked the moment when the number of participants in the martial arena reached 100. Divine Sword sect leader Luo Chaotian, who had been keeping an eye on the count, infused his voice with spiritual energy and announced, "Cease fighting." These 2 words seemed to have a magical effect. As soon as they were spoken, all the disciples simultaneously stopped their battles. Congratulations to the 100 disciples who have passed the first round. The second round will begin tomorrow at the hour of the rabbit. Rest well. Tomorrow we will announce the rewards for the top 10 of the 100 sect ceremony. All the disciples responded in unison, yes. As soon as the first round ended, Murongyu and Lu Yuanfeng quickly approached the Qingxian sect disciples. Murongyu's usually cold and elegant face was now beaming with a bright smile. Shen Mo, well done. That's how it should be. Shen Mo bowed. Your disciple has not disgraced the mission. Lu Yuanfeng said coolly, Leader, you should think more about how to handle Zhang Mo's impending wrath in the second and third rounds. Murongyu, still in high spirits, was suddenly doused with cold water by Lu Yuanfeng's words and snorted coldly, I am well aware of that. No need for Deputy Leader Lu to remind me. At this moment, the Verdant Vine sect team approached. Their arrival made Zhao Ting, Luo Shenan, and the others put away their smiles and turned to face the newcomers. Zhao Rou gazed blankly at the beautiful woman. How could someone have such stunning looks and an alluring figure? Compared to Mo Yuheng, she felt inferior in every aspect, not big enough where it should be, not long enough where it should be, not curvy enough where it should be. Luo Shenan, on the other hand, eyed Mo Yuheng warily. Wondering what this enchantress wanted, Mo Yuheng chuckled lightly, can I have my little snake back now? Shen Mo shrugged and took out the white snake from his arms, handing it over. It came over on its own. The white snake opened its mouth, making soft noises, and before leaving, it gently bit Shen Mo's finger. It didn't draw blood or break the skin, it was more like a pet's playful nip to its owner. Mo Yuheng smiled as she took the white snake. Tapping its head with her slender finger, who is your master? The white snake turned its head away, seemingly annoyed. After a moment of contemplation, it dove into the light gauze at Mo Yuheng's chest, causing her body to shiver slightly. Goodbye, I hope you can make it through the second round. Mo Yuheng waved, throwing a kiss to Shen Mo as she left. That fleeting gesture captivated many men, making them stop and stare. Shen Mo's heart raced, and it took a while for it to return to its normal pace. Murongyu frowned slightly and stepped in front of Shen Mo. I can't let my excellent disciple be easily seduced by women. Leader Mo, please keep your daughter in check, she said, looking at the bearded man in green behind Mo Yuheng. The bearded man coughed lightly. My daughter has grown up and is hard to discipline now, ahem. He then reminded, Leader Murong, be careful, Leader Zhang may not react well to this. Murongyu nodded and watched as the Verdant Vine sect team departed. Chapter 59. The first round of the 100 sect ceremony came to an end. All the sects returned to their temporary quarters. The spectators in the stands also began to leave, however. Even as they left, many people continued to excitedly discuss the chase between the Qingxian sect team and the Heavenly Water sect team. It had been so exciting and eye-catching, Even those who didn't want to talk about it couldn't help but do so, as everyone else was discussing it. Particularly memorable was the moment when In Shuiga loudly threatened Shinemo, who then decisively knocked him out of the arena. That scene was etched into the minds of countless people. Shinemo. This name began to spread through Divine Sword City just like the names of the 5 young supremes of Xinjiang. Moreover, because he was a dark horse that shone brightly, his name spread faster and wider than those of the 5 young supremes. Bang! Useless trash. Zhang Emo suddenly crushed her teacup. Scalding tea splashed over her hand and the ground. But she didn't seem to notice in her rage. Bai Ziyu quickly brewed a new cup of tea and respectfully brought it to her side. Sect Master, please calm down. Zhang Emo suppressed her anger. How is Shuega's injury? Bai Ziyu responded immediately. Senior brother's injuries are not severe. Mostly internal, due to emotional distress. Zhang Emo got up and strode towards In Shuiga's room. Inside the room, In Shuiga stared blankly at the ceiling. He no longer had the spirited look of one of the 5 young supremes. He looked more like a defeated dog on the run. Zhang Emo sat beside him, holding his hand, and spoke softly, Shuiga, don't dwell on it too much. This is a learning experience for you. You've always been proud, and I've worried about your mindset. This setback might be a good thing. In Shuiga remained dazed, as if he had lost all his vitality. Zhang Emo suddenly stood up and slapped him hard across the face. In Shuiga's cheek immediately swelled up with a bright red handprint. The sudden slap made Bai Ziyu shudder. It seemed to wake In Shuiga up. Restoring the light to his eyes, Zhang Emo coldly said, If you fall into despair over this failure, I will immediately strip you of your status as a true disciple. Go back to your family and never return to Heavenly Water Sect. Consider it my mistake for accepting you as a disciple in the first place. In Shuiga turned to Zhang Emo, his lips moving slightly. Master, I just didn't expect to lose so miserably. He's just a disciple from a second-rate sect. Zhang Emo replied calmly. Shen Emo possesses a superior heaven-grade physique. Losing to him is nothing to be ashamed of. In Shuiga was stunned. Bai Ziyue's eyes widened. Heaven-grade. Superior? Among the 5 young supremes, the strongest physique belonged to Hong Qilong, but it was only a mid-grade heaven physique. Shen Emo had a superior heaven-grade physique. Master, where did you get this information? In Shuiga asked, his eyes sparkling. From Qingxian Sect's deputy leader Lu Yuanfeng? Zhang Emo sneered. Bai Ziyu was utterly shocked. This In Shuiga quickly grasped the situation. Qingxian Sect is so divided? A superior heaven-grade physique, and instead of protecting him, they expose him to outsiders? Zhang Emo scoffed. Qingxian Sect is like a sieve now. Deputy leader Lu Yuanfeng is closely tied with Divine Sword Sect, and former Elder Song Chaofeng has connections with Verdant Vine Sect. Even if Shen Emo has a superior heaven-grade physique, he won't get the resources he needs. As long as you regain your confidence and train hard, you won't lose to him. Besides, Zhang Mo's gaze deepened. Divine Sword Sect will eventually conquer Xianzhang Prefecture, and we at Heavenly Water Sect will follow closely behind. Qingxian Sect is unlikely to submit. When the time comes, you will personally wipe away this shame. You will take his life. Zhang Emo grasped In Shuiga's shoulder firmly, staring into his eyes. Yes. In Shuiga responded with renewed determination. Divine Sword City, East Market, Shen Emo, Zhao Ting, Luo Shenan, and Zhao Ro were wandering around the market, invited by Zhao Ting and the others, and because Shen Emo had his own reasons for visiting. The 4 of them decided to come here. Divine Sword City was enormous, housing 4 markets, each located in a different district. The East Market was the smallest of the 4 but was closest to Hidden Dragon Pavilion, where the Qingxian Sect disciples were staying. Shen Emo had a specific reason for visiting. During the melee, he had glimpsed In Shuiga's life panel and noted a significant opportunity meant for In Shuiga. Shen Emo recalled the details from In Shuiga's life panel. Name: In Shuiga, cultivation level, peak of foundation establishment, fate, scion of a prominent family, lucky star, born sword embryo, 9 in body, destiny. To stop at the peak of the Golden Core stage and become an inner elder of the Divine Sword Sect. 62 years later, he will be killed in an internal factional conflict within the Divine Sword sect. Recent opportunities 1. Today, inspired by the encouragement of Heavenly Water sect leader Zhang Mo, he will regain his spirit. In the afternoon, he will wander the East Market and discover a supreme Earth-grade treasure, a fragment of a demon armor at the stall of a bald old man. Recent opportunities 2. Tomorrow. While practicing swordsmanship in the southeast area of Hidden Dragon Pavilion, he will discover a nearly mature true intent grass under a fake mountain and acquire this supreme grade treasure. A supreme grade treasure, true intent grass, can serve as the wood root for my formation of a golden core. What is a supreme earth-grade demon armor fragment? It sounds powerful. Shin Emo mused to himself, since it's a supreme earth-grade treasure, it must be valuable and not some worthless item. No matter what it is, it's worth taking. At this time, many cultivators were setting up stalls in the East Market. The cultivators' levels varied greatly. The lowest were at the chi condensation stage, the highest reached the golden core stage. The items they sold were also diverse and strange. There were fragments of so-called heaven-grade spirit artifacts. There were fossilized beast eggs that had been petrified for 1,000 years. There were also ancient elixirs encased in amber. Of course, most of these items were fake. Shin Emo couldn't help but sigh. Unfortunately, there was no anti-fraud system in this world. Otherwise, he could make a fortune busting scams here. As they wandered through the market, Zhao Ting, Luo Shinan, and Zhao Rou bought a lot of items. With their discerning eyes, they could avoid most of the fakes, sifting through to find genuinely valuable things. For instance, Zhao Rou was lucky enough to buy a bottle of Yuan spirit blood. This item was a high-grade treasure. It wasn't actual blood but a product of alchemy. It wasn't meant for humans to drink but for beasts after consumption. It could enhance their bloodlines and physical bodies. Previously, Zhao Rou had acquired a mutant amethyst lion cub, which she always kept with her in a beast-controlling bag. The Yuan spirit blood was prepared for it. Shin Emo, why aren't you buying anything? Did the leader not give you money? Luo Sheng'an asked boldly, wrapping her arm around Shinmo's shoulder. Shin Emo laughed helplessly. At that moment, his gaze suddenly focused on a bald old man ahead to the left. The old man was picking at his foot. Showing a complete lack of the demeanor of a cultivator, the items on his stall were equally unimpressive. They were mostly covered in dust and dirt, even when the 4 of them stood before his stall. The old man continued picking at his foot with complete focus. It was as if nothing else existed in the world but his foot. Shinmo's eyes, however, lit up as he spotted a fragment of purple-black metal among the items. Chapter 60. Old man, I want this, and this. Give me a price, Shinmo said, pointing to a few items around the metal fragment before finally pointing to the metal fragment itself. The old man suddenly stopped picking at his foot and looked at Shinmo, calculating something with his fingers. You are not the destined one. This item is not for sale to you. He was about to look away when he recalculated. Wait a minute. How are you now the destined one? The old man was very surprised. Shinmo's heart stirred. The old man seemed skilled in divination or some sort of fortune-telling. He also knew that this demon armor fragment was indeed a supreme earth-grade treasure. But the old man intended to sell it only to the destined one. In the original course of events, the destined one would have been In Shuega. But now, Shinmo had intercepted the opportunity. This led to the old man's confusing statement about who the destined one was. Luo Shengnan frowned. Old man, what are you talking about? Just say whether you're selling it or not. The old man frowned for a long time before saying, Of course I'm selling it. How much for all of this? Shinmo asked. The old man held up a hand with 5 fingers spread. 50 mid-grade spirit stones. The trio inhaled sharply. Why don't you go rob a bank? Luo Shengnan exclaimed. Shinmo then pointed directly at the demon armor fragment. What if I only want this? The old man grinned. Still 50 mid-grade spirit stones. Luo Shengnan cursed loudly. Damn it! It's just a piece of armor covered in mud. Is the armor made of gold? Or is the mud made of gold? The old man shook his head. If you are the destined one, buy it. If not, don't. Shinmo checked the old man's life panel. He frowned slightly. This old man was just a peak foundation establishment cultivator who would never form a golden core, and in a few years he would die of old age. All right, I'll buy it. Shinemo said, handing over 50 mid-grade spirit stones. He could afford it, thanks to the ample funds given by his beautiful master. What? You're really buying it? Luo Xingnan was baffled. That was 50 mid-grade spirit stones, not 50 low-grade ones. Shinemo looked at the old man, handing over the spirit stones. It's worth the price. The old man merely chuckled. On the way back to Hidden Dragon Pavilion, Zhao Rou asked curiously, Senior Brother Shen, what exactly is that thing? Zhao Ting also looked puzzled. Yes, 50 mid-grade spirit stones are quite valuable. Make sure it's not a worthless item. Shinemo smiled. It could be an earth-grade treasure. The three of them were stunned. Really? Luo Xingnan's eyes widened. However, it's just a fragment. I thought it might be useful, so I bought it. Shinemo nodded. I see earth-grade treasures can indeed become fragments. Some fragments are very useful, while others are completely useless. Zhao Ting sighed. The four of them returned to their respective rooms. Shinemo washed the mud off the demon armor fragment, revealing its true form. It was a piece of purple-black metal with complex and profound patterns. Just looking at it made Shinemo feel dizzy, so he quickly averted his gaze. How peculiar! Shinemo was astonished. Such a small fragment had such a strange effect. If it were a complete demon armor, it would be even more mysterious. A single fragment reaches the supreme earth grade. A complete demon armor might be a heaven-grade treasure. Shinemo was excited and began trying to activate the demon armor fragment. Through willpower, blood, or spiritual energy. He began to experiment. Willpower and spiritual energy had no effect. Then, Shinemo cut his finger and pressed it against the demon armor fragment. The next moment, he felt an incredible suction force from the fragment. Instantly, his blood began to flow towards the fragment wildly. Within a few breaths, Shunmo's face turned pale. The fragment had already drained almost a quarter of his blood. Seeing this wasn't right, he quickly took out some pills and swallowed them. These pills were for healing and could speed up blood regeneration. This barely restored balance. After more than 30 breaths, the fragment's suction finally weakened. Shinemo was left panting. His storage ring nearly empty of healing pills. Then, to his astonishment, the demon armor fragment started to sink into his palm. Shinmo's eyes widened as he tried to pull it out. However, the fragment had already completely merged into his body. Shinemo quickly used his internal sight to examine himself, but he couldn't find any trace of the demon armor fragment. Where did it go? Shinemo was puzzled. Suddenly, he felt a stirring within him. With a single thought, a palm-sized piece of purple-black demon armor appeared on his chest. Another thought brought the armor to his shoulder, then his arm, then his thigh. Shinemo was thrilled. He understood now. This artifact could appear on any part of his skin. Its purpose was clearly to defend against attacks. With another thought, Shinemo made it appear on his left palm. He then took out the thunder sword with his right hand and struck the armor on his palm with force. Clang. A metallic sound rang out. The thunder sword vibrated intensely, but Shinemo felt no pain at all. This defense is incredible. Shinemo was even more excited. He then used the Thunder Shadow Sword technique on his left hand. Clang. Another metallic sound. The demon armor remained completely unscathed. Shinemo was about to express his joy when he suddenly felt dizzy and quickly stopped. After a brief contemplation, he realized the truth. I get it now. The demon armor fragment can directly block some attacks. For those it can't, it consumes my blood to strengthen the defense and continue blocking. Understanding this, Shinemo felt even more elated. Thanks to his superior heaven-grade physique, his blood regeneration was certainly better than most. He could definitely make good use of this demon armor fragment. In the future, if I get the chance to obtain treasures that enhance blood regeneration, I must acquire them. This artifact will be my ultimate defense. Shinemo nodded firmly. In the blink of an eye, the next day arrived. The martial arena was once again filled with spectators. Disciples from various sects gathered at the arena. However, this time, most of the disciples had to sit in the stands as spectators. Only the 100 who had passed the first round the previous day were qualified to enter the arena as one of the top 5 sects of Xianjiang. Heavenly Water sect had now become mere spectators. This was unprecedented since they had joined the top 5 sects. Many people directed their gazes toward them. The disciples of Heavenly Water sect felt their faces burning with shame. All around them seemed to be eyes filled with mockery, disdain, and scorn. They had never experienced such humiliation. Remember these looks every moment, remember them. Whenever you feel proud and complacent, think of these looks, think of the shame of being knocked out by Qin Xian sect yesterday. Heavenly Water sect leader Zhang Mo spoke calmly. We understand. The 10 disciples of Heavenly Water sect nodded quietly. Now, let's enjoy the show. Today's show will be quite spectacular, Zhang Mo said with a serene expression. Yes. In Shuega glanced at the Qin Xian sect team. His master had contacted more than a dozen sects the previous day, making promises or offering generous rewards. The only request was for them to unite against Qin Xian's sect today. Qin Xian's sect would become everyone's target.